Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Who has not been to a 1 Million Cups before? All right, lots of new faces today. Thank you for coming. 1 Million Cups is a entrepreneurial networking education event that was put together by the Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City. The point of 1 Million Cups is for us to all get together, listen to one of our local entrepreneurs talk for about 6 minutes, and then we pepper them with questions, very nice questions about their business, and give them lots of suggestions and help with their challenges. So that we as a community can learn from one another, we can grow as a community, we can network. But this is more than just a networking meeting. It's a lot about education and learning from one another, so we can all learn from each other's experiences, so that we don't make the same mistakes that we've all made. So we'll then spend the second half of the meeting going over a community question. And we just open that up to the floor and we all discuss it and have a good time. 1 Million Cups is presented by the Regional Partnership and Start Fort Wayne. We got together last year in August to start talking about different ways we could build the entrepreneur culture here in Fort Wayne. And this is one of those events that came up out of that. It helps that Kauffman basically put the whole program together for us, and we just kind of implement it here. But we are proud to be the only city in Indiana who is doing this. Today we are sponsored by Sweetwater. They give us this great space. We get to come in and set up every week, and it's pretty much all set up for us every week. We don't have to do anything. The coffee you're drinking today is Utopian coffee, and if you hadn't noticed already, the three elephants in the room here. We have a new sponsor with Never Ends Productions. Doug, do you want to speak for just a minute? Yeah, you can applaud. So Doug came to us through John Richards, and basically, we've been talking for a while about how we wanted to up our game with everything we've been doing with 1 Million Cups. This is a far cry from periscoping with an iPhone. But I will let Doug talk for just a moment about his company, and then we'll talk a little bit more about where we're going with this stuff.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm a little sweaty because this is kind of our first really trial run with 3 cameras. We're trying to do PowerPoint, and we're trying to stream. So we're growing. It's growing pains. As you can see, it's a lot of wires, a lot of buttons, and a lot of technology. And to get it all to work the first time, the planets have to align. So the Saturn must be off, or the storm coming in, or something. But we are recording it, so it's gonna we'll be able to play it back later. But every week you're gonna hopefully see us back, and we'll work out the bugs, and we'll stream it live to Facebook and maybe YouTube. And so hopefully get the word out about this group and how we can help people. And that's kind of what we do as our company. Our company is Never Ends, because we make things that never end. And we capture memories and want to share those memories with people. And every one of you has a story, and we're just storytellers. So we want to help with that. And any questions, let us know. We're here to help.
Thank you. We're going to bring them back to another 1 Million Cups to just have them present on their own. But to kind of let you know what's going on, they've obviously set up 3 cameras. We have microphones now in both corners of the room to hear you guys, so that when we're asking questions and that sort of thing, we don't have to pass a mic around. So if you guys remember from last week when I was talking about Kansas City, about how impersonal it was to have the mic passed around for the questions, it was this will hopefully open that up, and we don't have to worry about that so much. We'll have it all set up and ready and running. He's got the equipment back there to basically do an internet stream that's television quality. So you've got multiple cameras switching, you've got switching to the presentation, you've got the whole shebang. Yeah, he can do pretty much anything with it back there. So we are extremely happy to have him on board, and we'll see this improve. The other thing that we're going to start doing as we get this work process worked out is start pushing the video, the stream more on our social media. This is where you guys can help us out, is to also be telling people, hey, make sure you're watching this. If you can't make it, make sure you're watching this online. And then increase our social media interaction during the event. So the people who are watching that online have questions they want to pose or want to bring up a comment for a presenter, we can then funnel that in through a chat or something like that so that we can then get it to the presenter during the event rather than just wait for Facebook comments after. So, all right. So today, please welcome today's presenter, Ashley from Smolder and Shine. I've met Ashley probably about a year ago and followed a couple of the different events that she's been in, but I'm not going to steal her thunder on her business. I'll let her go ahead and talk about herself. So come on up.
How do I change it?
Just spacebar or arrows.
Oh, cool. Look at that. Hi. I had something really clever made up in my head to say when I came up here, but I forgot. So just make up something in your head and that you think is funny. See? Yeah. See? That was good. That was good. She's actually just going to do the presentation for me now. As Dave said, my name is Ashley. He didn't say my last name because nobody can say my last name. It's Jylland-Hade. It's okay if you can't say it. Nobody usually can. Yeah, see? Yeah, it's not too bad. No, I'm not divorced. No, I don't have some crazy life story. I just got really lucky with both my last names. So, the whole reason I'm standing in front of you today is because of an accident. It all kind of came together. The fates kind of aligned. It was a weird situation, but I will get to that. I have been doing community service for about 10 years now. I was raised by one of the most phenomenal men you'll ever meet. His name is Carl. He's not up there, but he was called to Ground Zero 3 days after 9/11. He was working with first responders to help treat their post-traumatic stress disorder and working with anybody who had been at Ground Zero at all. He's also been to Indonesia. He's been on different mission trips. So that's how I was raised, by a man who was constantly looking at his environment and saying, what can I do to help? And luckily for me, it rubbed off on me, and I have carried the same mentality with me. I've volunteered everywhere from the Cincinnati Veterans Hospital, where I have about 300 hours down there. Shepherd's House, I was helping veterans with getting cell phones, getting Social Security benefits, everything like that. Turnstone here in town, Casa Valley County, I'm on their coalition board. We actually did an event for them, but I'll get to that. And also the city of Fort Wayne. Basically, if anybody's like, I need a volunteer, I'm pretty much the first person that they message. It's like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a year and a half, but I really need bodies here. So I was lucky enough to have been nominated for the Athena International Young Leadership Award this year, and I just found out yesterday, I'm one of the recipients of the Evergreen Leadership Community Builder Award. So that's not bragging, I'm just saying, so you know I kind of know what I'm talking about. Getting back to Smolder and Shine was an accident. So I never planned on this being a business. It's not my primary business. It's not my primary stream of income. You just kind of get to the point where you say, the community needs to be better. What can I do to better the community? It all started in 2012. I was a personal trainer with Catalyst Fitness, a local gym here in town, and I was looking at a way to try to help the military. So I went up to the 293rd Infantry up on Cook Road, and they gave me a tour of the building because I wanted to help some of their guys who were struggling with their PT tests. They took me up to the gym, and I cannot remember the last time I was so angry. The troops hold a very special place in my heart, and when you come up to a gym and you see that the weights are so rusted, they probably need tetanus shots after lifting. They had 4 treadmills, 3 of which didn't work, and the 4th one would abruptly stop while they were running. So you can imagine how much fun that was. So I kind of sat down and I said, this is not okay. What are we going to do about this? So 3 months later, a chive meetup and a gala later, we had $10,000, and we replaced almost all the equipment in the gym. A couple of things still need replaced up there, but the main infrastructure of the entire gym was completely changed. So this was at their military ball. These were the 3 men that I worked with the most that we changed those soldiers' lives. So that's kind of how everything started going. We got the ball rolling. Up here, this is just some of the different events that we've had. This is me. This is my vice president, Kim, who is an absolute godsend. Both of us work full time. She has 4 kids, including a set of twins, and she still manages to make all of our centerpieces for our events. She was going to try to be here, but unfortunately she had to be at work. This is one of our centerpieces from the St. John's New Haven event that we did, that we were setting up, and we had a bride walk in who was doing a tour of the venue, and she offered to buy the centerpieces off of our tables. We're like, that's really flattering, but then what are we going to do? So up here was the Gatsby Gala that we did for Casa of Allen County. We had 185 people come out to that one at Main Street, over Main Street Bistro. Every single person was in full Gatsby garb. And if you want to talk about one of the coolest things you've ever seen, it's just the time transition when people walk in their flapper dresses. So, and then this was from our adult prom from this past February. So you're saying, okay, you do event planning, big deal. What's the difference? We are exclusively only working with nonprofit organizations. Why? That doesn't seem like very smart. They don't have a lot of money to begin with. That's kind of the idea. I've worked with enough nonprofits to know that the person who's in charge of the fundraising and planning the events, chances are you have about 50 other things going on. So guess what? Your primary focus is not going to be on the fundraising. When your primary focus is not on fundraising, it takes away from the quality of your events. That's where we come in. We are cheapskates, and we're proud of it. We're not going to go to these nonprofits and say, yeah, you're going to have to give us about $2,500 just to start, and then we'll go from there and we'll make everything as extravagant as we can. We don't do that. We understand how important every single dime is to a nonprofit, so we're going to take that into account when we're doing our decorations. We focus more on getting people in the door than we do decorating the venue. We're going to do things as minimally as possible to minimize expenses. We don't care how much money we pocket. Like I said, both Kim and I have other jobs. It's fine. You know, having some extra income is nice. Our main priority is bringing money into that nonprofit because they need it the most. This is another one of our centerpieces from our Whiteout Gala that we did. This kind of shows you how we utilize, this was all super cheap stuff, but when you put super cheap stuff together in the right way, it looks really good. And then this is one of the boards I serve on. This is who the Whiteout Gala benefited this year, was Bring It, who works with teenage girls. So it sounds good in theory, right? Organizations are required to put down a deposit, but then we take it from there. If we do not have enough money from the organization, half the time we pay for it out of our own pockets, and then we get reimbursed. Like we said, it's not about money. And at this point, we are going to the nonprofits. When we approached Casa of Allen County about doing the Gatsby Gala, I thought the president's head was going to explode. She's like, okay, so what do you need us to do? Do you need all this? And we're like, no, we have it done already. And she thought it was some kind of scam because we already had everything laid out. You think you're special or something. Actually, yes, we do. Nobody in Fort Wayne, as far as I know, nobody in Indiana does anything like this. There are a few organizations locally that I've heard of that are a for-profit organization, and they will do these big extravagant events, and then they will cut a check to the nonprofit and act like that was the goal the whole time. Like I said before, that's not us. We would rather lower how much we get and put that money back out into the community. Because Kim has kids, I'm tired of being labeled as a lazy millennial, so we're both doing whatever we can to fix that. Here's a couple dog memes because I figured you guys might want some humor, and dogs are awesome. That I didn't know how things would be going yet, so I wanted to. Okay, so now we get to the important stuff, the struggles. Obviously, you all are pretty familiar with entrepreneurial struggles. The biggest thing is marketing. We are constantly overshadowed by big event planning groups. You know, name the first event planning group you think of. Even Keel. Name an event planning company. Dumb. No?
Does they count?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're constantly, you kind of see, sorry, I put you on the spot, but we're constantly being overshadowed by these big venues, by these big companies, Bob Mutton, that kind of a thing. So that's our number one struggle right now, is people don't just get on Facebook and like, I wonder who. They go to people that they're already familiar with. Short-staffed. It's me and Kim. Kim and I. That's it. And like I said, with her having a 6-year-old and twins and a girl who just learned how to drive, she's a little busy. Funding. We all know that struggle. Funding. And that's our number one issue with marketing at this point too, is the funding. Because even if you just try to boost something on Facebook, it's not cheap. And time. What's time? We're all busy. Where are we supposed to get the time to do this besides sacrificing sleep? How can you help?
Hang on. Nope.
No?
Let's go back.
We have to go back.
Yeah, we start here. We stop here. Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Can I put up the vet thing so people can write it down?
No, you're right.
I went way over time, you guys. I'm sorry.
All right. So this is where we do Q&A. We can go ahead and do
Be
Q&A
gentle.
for based on her challenges and other questions you might have based on what you talked
gentle.
about.
No?
Somebody's got questions.
Yes.
Do you aspire to do this full time?
I would like to. I work for a nonprofit right now as their volunteer and HR coordinator. But if this gets to the point where we can do it full time, that would be fantastic.
So the follow-up is, how many events do you need to see that happen?
We would have to be doing anywhere from, I would say, 15 to 18 events a year for us to be full time, for it to be beneficial for us to be full time. Yes.
When you pull an event together for a nonprofit, do you have a mailing list of the important people in Fort Wayne, or do you use strictly the mailing list to invite from what the nonprofit has?
A lot of what we do, especially for example with CASA of Allen County, they have a lot of contacts within the legal system, because that's who they work with, is they work with judges and lawyers. So when we work with a nonprofit, they kind of understand that they are partially responsible for helping market it. If they have a list of volunteers and staff members and different donors and everything, they send those emails out, or they send us the list so we can send the email out, just to kind of increase the visibility. Yes?
How are you picking? You said you guys go to them, so
Mm-hmm.
how are you picking?
We pick strictly local. We're not going to go after somebody like Susan G. Komen. We're not going to go after Wounded Warrior Project, anybody like that. If it's locally based in Indiana, specifically based in Fort Wayne, that's who we're going to go after, because chances are the smaller the nonprofit is, the more help they need with the fundraising. No, we're not just going to go to them and be like, hey, guess what? We're throwing you an event. That's not how it works. We will approach them, say, hey, this is what we have in mind. What do you think? And they have full right to be like, you're insane. No, that's not happening. So, but most people, anybody I've ever met with, has been absolutely receptive to the idea. Yeah.
I assume you're trolling for referrals here, so
Sure.
would you do contiguous counties if we knew someone
Yeah.
other than or Angola?
Oh yeah, Angola is not that far. The biggest thing with that would just be, they would have to understand it would be an extra deposit, and all costs would be a little bit higher just because we would have to do the traveling and all that. So yeah, but I'm not opposed to that. Yeah.
You indicated you work with smaller nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an upper size limitation that you have found where you've been less successful?
I would say any nonprofit that has more than 15 employees, they don't need us. They have plenty of other people that they can get help with. But it's the people who are 15, 10. The nonprofit I work for, we have 25 people. We have a director of fund development. They don't need us. That's not the kind of thing that we would help with. So, and I mean, we get grants, we get all that kind of thing. It's a lot smaller scale. And the lesser known the nonprofit is, the more help they need. So we really like to dig in a little bit.
We have
Yeah.
a question from Periscope. Does Smolder and Shine intend to become a nonprofit itself? at
No.
some point?
Nope. Yes.
You got your business located in downtown Fort Wayne? You got business located in downtown?
We don't have an office. Yeah, that's the fun part. Technically, I live by downtown, so yes, we are by downtown. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the name?
Yeah, Smolder and Shine is just a play off of Fire and Ice. we can do pretty much anything. We can do polar opposites. I mean, we've done the Gatsby Gala with 180 people. We did a whiteout gala that had 40. We can do barbecues. We have one event coming up that I don't have on our list yet because it's not finalized, but it's a fundraiser for veterans, and it's going to be a beer and food tasting. You know, show up in jeans, flip-flops, whatever, I don't care. And then we have Gatsby Gala where people will show up completely dressed to the nines. So, yeah.
So how do you typically reach out to these small nonprofits in Fort Wayne and Allen County? Like, is it a phone call? Is it an email? Is it
I prefer phone calls. I don't like, I think emails and letters are too non-personal. Because when you think, especially when you're first starting a business, how much mail do you get, you know, from banks and all this, people looking for money. I would rather pick up the phone, even if I add them on LinkedIn, and just message them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? You know, let's meet at Starbucks. Starbucks is a good place to, with all the stuff I have going on, coffee is usually involved somehow. Yes.
Since funding is an issue, I presume, though, you've looked at how much you're actually charging.
Yes.
You can't charge nothing.
Right.
You want to charge less than this. So are you sure you're charging enough for you to be able to have a successful business and be able to serve nonprofits in the future?
I like that question. That's a good question. No, I'm not sure. Like I said, Kim and I have sat down and we said, this is how much, and it's honestly the deposit and everything and the amount that we charge varies every single event. I'm not going to charge the same deposit for a 25-person small mingle fundraiser as I'm going to for a 250-person gala, if that makes sense. It varies each time.
Okay. So you vary per follow-up. Vary per how many attendees? Or are you talking about varying per how much money you're going to?
It basically depends on how much work is going to be involved. If you have a 200-person event, obviously that's going to take a lot more time, a lot more effort than a 20-person event that, you know, that's just a small gathering. So it just depends. And quite honestly, if it ends up being a lot more work than we anticipated, then we talk to the nonprofit about that and we let them know.
So a follow-up to John's question, to John's follow-up. So I think from a marketing perspective, it makes sense to say what you said during your presentation, where it's like, you know, we're trying to get as much money back. We're not trying to stiff the nonprofit and stuff. From a business perspective, that's a big red flag for me. So I think you need to be thinking about, like, really sit down and figure out what your real costs are and include your marketing costs into that. So it's not just about the job cost that you're doing per job. You need to figure out what your overhead is.
Right.
Get that into that amount.
No, I agree.
So that it's, you know, and then make sure you're giving the rest. But your value to the nonprofit is the way you do the job and making sure your decorations and all the other stuff you do is cheaper, not necessarily that you're shorting yourself.
Right. No, and how can I phrase this? I don't ever feel like we're shorting ourselves. Okay. If we were doing this strictly, this was our only income, it would be different. It would be very different. But we're also very new is the other thing too. I don't know. I don't really know how to respond to that. You're probably right. I have a tendency of giving and not taking care of myself. So, and Kim has that same problem. So that's definitely,
really
yeah. Well, or we could have somebody else do it because we've already analyzed our numbers and we were like, yeah, this seems logical. Absolutely. Yeah, this is fine. So if somebody else was to sit us down and be like, get your shit together.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's absolutely right because then it's impartial.
Yeah.
You can kind of say this is my impartial number. Then
I like that. Good call.
Just to go along with that, part of analyzing the numbers is figuring out what kind of staff you need, short staff, adding that cost in to the package too.
We gotta pay our own
The
staff
best
first.
contribution you have to the community and nonprofits is for you to stay in business.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Yeah, good point.
Yes.
It seems like in the fundraising events, there are two pieces.
Mhm.
One is the event and like centerpieces and the concept, barbecue, you know, white, Gatsby, whatever it is.
Have you done this before?
No. But and it seems like you're in your presentation, at least to us, you're focusing on that part of it, that we're taking care of the event and worrying about getting a great deal on the food and all that stuff. The other half, and I think the more important half, and the part that I think people that you potentially could sell better from at least this presentation, is the fundraising piece of it. Like, how are we actually going to make money? And we're bringing expertise to the table that this kind of an auction item just won't do any good, and that kind of an auction item will, silent versus live.
We've definitely had those conversations. Like,
so it seems like in your marketing, I'd want 60% of my marketing to be about, we're going to do a better job for you in consulting with you about how to do the fundraising, and 40% is what Empyrean and everybody else does, which is figure out how to get food and what the concept of the barbecue versus the fish fry is.
To be fair, I left a lot of those details out because it's really boring if you're not having an event. It's really boring if you are having an event. You don't want to hear about all the money and like how it's going to be raised. Nobody wants to really talk about that. Right.
As a
and we do have.
Person, I would want to know, like, how is your expertise going to help me more than I have no idea what works well from a fundraising point of view. So.
Right. And we do have those conversations. It completely varies depending on the nonprofit. Their money could be coming in from auction items for one event. It could be coming in because their tickets are $120 a person at the next one. It just varies each time. So, no, it's a good point. I just left a lot of that out because I didn't want to bore you guys. So, yes.
Well, I mean, to your point, and my feedback is, as a nonprofit, I want to know that you understand nonprofits.
Right.
I think you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
I want to know that not only, because I've met with different people that say they can do this or they can do that, and I don't feel like, number one, they care at all.
Right.
And they just want to make some money.
Yep.
Which I don't have. And the second thing is that they don't really understand nonprofits. They don't understand how nonprofits work. And I'm not convinced that they would do a better job. What I would want to know more about is the numbers, like how you did on the events.
Right.
And I'm sure you have all that information.
Right. We have done, exclusively through Smolder and Shine, we've done about $30,000 in the last 4 years. And that's only been off of probably 7 events, I think. So we average pretty well. And that's not even for big, extravagant galas. That's just for like medium size, not too much effort kind of a thing. So
That funds raised or revenue to the company?
that is what has gone back to the company. So not including costs. Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
I see your passion for certain nonprofits. Are you trying to get a niche? Because the ones you talked about were the ones you were involved in.
Right.
And
Well,
if I
not
was-
always.
If
Maybe.
I was maybe not dealing with warriors or veterans or even children, maybe, I would want to know, are you as passionate about what my nonprofit is?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, those are just the people that I've worked with personally. We are actually working also with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We're working with another veterans group, but that's just somebody that I know. We put 110% to whoever we're working with. We're not going to be partial toward, as far as I'm concerned, the world kind of sucks. So if you're trying to you have a nonprofit, sorry, it's true. If you have a nonprofit and you're trying to make the world better, it's not my place to tell you that it's more important than somebody else's, if that makes sense. Yeah, Dom.
How are you doing with your cross-pollination of like connecting other organizations that might, not just referrals, but also like there's a couple circles of people in Fort Wayne who tend to do these kinds of things. How well are you connecting your clients to perhaps other like potential revenue sources and kind of building your brand? Because most companies now, their worth is in their capital. It's not in their physical capital, but they're in their intangible capital. So how are you using your intangible capital to do better for yourself and for your clients?
That was a very worded question. I know, it took me a second to process it. We like to work with a lot of the same venues, a lot of the same organizations, because they are very good to us. I've worked with Todd Smith, who owns Flashbacks, Main Street Bistro, all of that. I've worked with him on, I think, 4 different events now, because when it's a nonprofit event, he almost always marks stuff down to cost for me. Plus, he's a local business owner, and it's a good connection for the nonprofit to have, because, hey, even if you decide that next year you can't afford to keep us or you don't want to use us again, guess what? Now you have a connection with Todd, who's a local business owner, and you can go talk to him and you can work with him. So everything we do is local. We don't ever contract out things nationally. Even when we get our decorations, it's through Shindigs, which is a local company. So that's just and even when we do get stuff from Shindigs, we always tell the company or the nonprofit who we're getting our stuff from. That way, if they ever need anything and when they're not doing event planning, then they know who they can go to. So that was also a very wordy answer. Sorry. Yes.
You mentioned the net revenue that your events have generated.
Mm-hmm.
Do your clients or do your customers ask you to commit to a number before they?
They tell us what number they want.
Do you agree that you'll reach that?
No, not always. I mean, let's be real. If I sit down with a nonprofit that has 5 staff members and they say, we want to raise $100,000, that's not going to happen. Sorry, it's not. It's not feasible. It's not logical. Have we had fundraisers where we missed the mark? Yes. I will be the first to admit that. Things happen. In most of those situations, though, that had to do with the nonprofit not helping us with the marketing and pushing things out. When it does not become a balance and we're not working together, that's when things start to suffer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes?
You've talked a little bit about how you approach your revenue streams, but when you sign on with a nonprofit and you establish a goal, is your price set, or is it like what will ultimately come back to you, or is it in relation to what is actually raised after it's all said and done? Or if you miss goal, is it something that you then kind of split off with the nonprofit and each take what?
We have a set amount. We have a deposit that's set with them.
Okay.
We have a set amount that we will make regardless.
Okay.
And then if they hit over their threshold, it's in the paperwork that we will receive more payment from them.
Gotcha.
Just because we're. But a lot of it has to do with if the ticket is being sold, how much of each ticket are we getting, or what percentage of the income coming in do we receive, that kind of a thing. It's completely different with every single nonprofit, because we don't want to, the one thing we don't want to be is a cookie cutter event planning staff, because once you do that, you're ostracizing a lot of people, and we don't want to do that.
That's great. That's a advantage over the other guys too. So.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
very last question.
Is there an element of your venture that will consult with a nonprofit for a fee to develop a fundraising event or a fundraising program without doing the work yourselves?
We do free consultations. We'll sit down with a nonprofit at the beginning and then give them an idea based off of what they want to do, how much work it's going to be, et cetera, and then we'll give them a ballpark price. That's our consultation. If they don't want it, they can walk. But we're not going to sit there in the meeting and give them ideas, be like, oh, you want to do an 80s theme? Cool. You know what you should do? And then throw ideas at them. We just go over, this is basically what it's going to incorporate. This is what it's going to take. This is the work Kim and I are going to have to do. This is how much you're going to end up paying us at the end.
So there's no revenue to your business unless you guys are involved.
Correct.
At the event planning level.
Correct.
Is that sustainable?
I think so. I think if you have a consultation with them and you build that relationship with them and that trust, because they can come into a meeting and they can be like, okay, this person's going to try to take all my money. This is great. And they just, the walls are up. When you're a nonprofit, you don't have any money. Your walls are up as soon as you walk into a meeting. If you do a consultation with them and you build that relationship with them and you talk to them and help relax them, because I'm not super professional. I don't know if you noticed. I haven't worn high heels in 6 months. But when you build that relationship with them from the beginning.
Don't tell them that.
Well, yeah, you know what I meant. But when you build that relationship with them from the beginning and you have that one-on-one, that changes everything. Because then they see that you're not answering to a higher up. You're not answering to somebody who's telling you what to charge. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, realistically, this is how much you can probably raise. This is how much it's going to cost you. This is all the work we're going to do. We're going to text you. We're going to call you. We're going to keep you in the loop the whole time. Do you want to do this?
You're just cultivating a relationship.
Yeah.
That hopefully lasts a long time.
Because even if at that point they say, cost-wise, probably not feasible, guess what? A year from now, when they're doing a little bit better and they have a little bit more breathing room in the budget, they're going to call us because they're going to remember that we made that relationship with them to begin with.
Business 4 years old?
Well, technically, that's what we had. I had my first event, but we were officially established and recognized by the state in October of last year. So we're still.
I was gonna say,
We're babies.
percentage of your clients, continue with you?
Casa of Allen County is going to actually do an annual event with us this year. Like after Gatsby last year, it went well enough that they want to keep repeating. And we're already kind of seeing the word of mouth. I was at the Athena breakfast and I had somebody come up to me and she's like, "You're Ashley from Smolder and Shine." I'm like, "Oh God, what did I do? I'm so sorry." But we're already starting to kind of see the
Marketing, use those clients,
Mhm.
those repeat clients to boost your
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so how can we, the 1 Million Cups community, help you?
Word of mouth. Just said it. And then these are two of our events that we have coming up. If you follow us on our Facebook page, then you'll see this. Slosh Ball is awesome. Slosh Ball is going to be kickball with a whole lot of beer. If that's your thing, then by all means. This is going to benefit Bring It, which is the organization that works with local teen girls to help them build their self-esteem and teach them about bullying and mental health and all of that. And then this is the other event that I was telling you about. This is our American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Casino Night. I don't know how long it's been since you guys have been on the south side of town, but over on Fairfield, there's the Carpel Manuscript Museum, which you've probably driven past a million times thinking it was a church, but it has all of those steps going up front. That's where we're going to have it. And you're going to get $1,500 in casino money, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and a cash bar, and we're going to have music there. And all that money is going to go back. We're not getting paid for this one at all. Not at all. All of the proceeds are going straight back to them. So.
There's a correlation between financial losses at casinos and suicide.
Wait, what?
There is a correlation in real life between financial losses at casinos and suicide.
We'll talk about that later. To be fair, I didn't know that. So, and AFSP didn't balk at the idea. So, hopefully, good to know. Where were you like 6 months ago when we started? Good to know, though. Thank you for that. I'm gonna have to make a phone call. What did you say?
Nothing. They're moving past. Okay, thank you. Let's do the mug.
I feel like we just ended on a very volatile note.
Here, grab that, shake hands. If somebody else is taking a picture, we have to look professional.
My heels.
I did.
Thank you. Oh, Dom, you got it? All right.
All right, let's give it up for her. Thank you.
I got butchered at the end.
Yay, Bernadette.
Oh, thank you. So this is the part of 1 Million Cups where we do the community discussion. So we have a question, and then we open it up to the group. So this week, what is the first business you ever ran? What did you learn from it? Who did a lemonade stand? And
I'd like to point out that Don described this. If you just separate the two, the first part is, how did you get started? How did you get started in this wonderful thing called entrepreneurship? What's the story?
Randy.
I was a lab technician at a factory and I hated it. And I got sick to my stomach every Sunday night and it didn't go away till Thursday. I knew I had to quit. And I started a tanning salon. And that was before beds and regulation and safety and all that.
That's already a really interesting story. Lab tech, tanning salon.
Aluminum that would reflect the rays and put them on the walls. And because I'm handy, I built it all from scratch.
So you're not only an entrepreneur, you're an inventor. Cool. Awesome.
I saw an article in Entrepreneur Today, and it said, "Where did you buy that tan?" I said, "There's the answer." And I built it and did great for a little bit, and then I was way ahead of this curve, and it wasn't popular that 2 years later. I sold mine at a loss just to say I didn't close my business.
Mhm.
What did I learn for it? Learn from it. Do your demographic study and know the market before you put in and get going. Because I thought I made money. I really lost my shirt, but I learned about entrepreneurism.
Thank you. Who's next? Yeah, right.
Well, depending on how far back you want to go, my first business was a paper route.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 5 continuous paper routes, 150 or so customers. And what I really learned from that is I enjoyed entrepreneurship. And I wanted to find some way to make money. And so, you call it a franchise if nothing else. My next business was selling shoes door to door. Selling jewelry door to door. And that was between ages of 10 and 15 years old.
I love it.
Selling shoes door to door.
Yeah.
McGuire.
Love it. Tony?
I work at Ponderosa Steakhouse, and my first job I went from 1994 at George to 2008. I've been working at Ponderosa, Georgetown, and they moved in 1994. They moved out to the Coldwater Road, Ponderosa. And I moved there. I've been there ever. My dishwashing job was my first job and everything. I enjoy it.
Represent Ponderosa. Right on. Thank you, Tony. Yes, please.
My first job was hemming blue jeans. Back in the 70s when jeans were popular, my brother ran a blue jean store. He's like, I gotta offer alterations. What I learned from that is no matter what, we all have something inside of us, a talent, a task, or a talent or a skill set that allows you to be an entrepreneur. You just have to find it. And it's gone from that to many, 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 many other businesses through our lifetime.
Absolutely.
So back in the day.
Back in the day.
I had friends that were in need of help. I could make computer programs that would help. So I started making programs for people, getting paid for that. And eventually grew to, I had like 4 people working with me. Nothing special or big. But what I learned from that, I'll tell you by an anecdote. I learned how to price things. So I remember the first big job I did on a fixed bid. I went in and I laid the price out for these guys. And we had thought about this for like ever and how much it would be and how much we could charge. And I laid the price out and they just went, okay. I went, oh my God, what did I leave? What did I leave on the table? I mean, that was absolutely right. I lost my butt on that one. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, John.
That's how you really learn.
Yeah, you got to do that once.
Yeah. So first business would have been Anthem Sound DJ business with that guy back there running the video screen. 1984 probably. And that ran for a very long time. I suppose remnants of it still run. And what did I learn from it? Chicks love the DJs. And
thanks, John.
Business partnerships can take a big toll on friendships, but true friendships will stand the test of that time. That's right.
Oh, wow. That's positive. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It is. It's really, it hasn't made my experience so far.
Mine was a babysitting business, and the one thing I learned is get a deposit, and don't babysit for family because they never pay you. They say they're going to pay you, but they never do. So don't do business.
Okay. And a little more negative. This is so good. We're just getting a balance here. You had your hand up, and then I'll come back over here. Hey, I support you.
In 1982, I learned that friendships don't survive business. In 7th grade, I ran with a friend of mine. We ran a little candy store out of our lockers.
Just candy?
We had about 7 to 9 business days to actually begin and close our little candy store because we invested the sum total of maybe $5, which back then bought quite a bit of stash.
Stash.
Sold out of our locker after math class and after math class.
Vernon, you should get to know Chris. A lot of sustainability here for you.
And we picked up a lot of customers right away, and we also picked up 75 cents from the drugstore, yeah, you can, but there's this thing called markup, and does the principal know about this? And the wheels came off, and within about 10 days we were shut down. But I remember bragging about this. We actually made a little over $20. I bragged about this to my dad. So contrary to John's story, I actually learned not to trust friends at that point. Wow.
Okay. Okay, there's a little more evidence in that one. All right, yeah.
My first business was a lemonade stand.
I knew somebody was going to have a lemonade stand.
It was, and I found myself feeling really sorry for the neighbor kids because they were less, like, we weren't rich by any means, we were poor, but they hadn't had, like, fresh fruits and vegetables, and, like, they didn't have some same things that I had, so I was like, oh, I should go and visit to help other people. So then I said, oh, well, I can't just sell lemonade for profit. So I was like, oh, well, I became a tutor in high school, and I tutored kids so they would, have better math and science scores and reading scores. And then I learned from that I didn't even want to charge them very much money because I wanted them just to get better. And so I decided that I was not really entrepreneurship material at this point in time. And I worked in economic development. But I did have a small tutoring business. It was really profitable. I charged like $30 for $20 like for an hour and 15-minute session, which for not having a degree at the time, like not too bad. But
Actually, it's looking for volunteers, by the way.
Yeah. No, you make a really good point because I always find that people's entrepreneurship stories actually have to do with money at a really early age. And if I think back, mine don't at all. Mine was staying up late at night trying to figure out, and I expect some awes after this, trying to figure out how to fix my family and fix my community and fix the world and not being able to sleep. And so maybe just sleepless nights have more to do with wanting to be an entrepreneur and changing something, adding something to the world, because the sustainability piece and the money piece came way later for me. So, yeah, Ashley.
My policy is figure out how to fix the world and figure out the cost later. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah.
I think we can do it.
People are like, let's talk.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're wrapping up. Thanks, guys.
All right. Announcements. If you're hiring somebody or you need to hire somebody, problems, questions you want to talk about with people afterwards. One thing on Atrium, coming soon, we'll be hiring additional staff. I don't know if you guys saw the announcement or not, but we did hire our community manager for Atrium, Bambi Guthrie, who was up here a few weeks ago. She's going to be our community manager, and she's in charge of figuring out a lot of our policies and procedures and shifts and all the other good stuff that goes into actually running the place. But she's going to be we're going to be starting up interviews and things like that, hopefully pretty soon. And there will be some more date announcements coming soon. So, who else has stuff? I know, Mark, you do.
I have an announcement about the C3, the Center for Creative Collaboration at Indiana Tech, which I know most of you in the room, that's the center, the entrepreneurship center that I currently run. And I started that a couple of years ago, had a great time doing it, but in a sense, all good things come to an end. I'm going to be retiring, so we're turning over the leadership reins to a couple of other people, a new leadership team, and both of those persons are in the room today. So
and they don't even know it.
And you know those. So the new director will be Crystal Van Wallstrom.
Stand up.
The new assistant director will be Steve Franks. And they will do a terrific job. So
cool, man.
Crystal started yesterday. Steve starts in August, and we'll keep rolling along there. So
Come talk to me.
Thank you, Mark. Maybe. And actually, can we get a round of applause for Mark? You guys have as far as entrepreneurship goes. He's been on our board at Star Fort Wayne for the past year. He's been doing a lot for us.
I have an announcement.
Yep.
We did go live, so.
Woo!
We went to YouTube, but we went live.
Hey, whatever works. All right. Anybody else?
I got in the paper. I'm gonna be a torch relays for Indiana's bicentennial. I'm gonna be a torch relays.
Awesome! Congratulations! right. Next week, Morrison from Neat will be here.
Stand up, Marson.
Yeah, stand up. So everybody is. So you need to come back next week and listen to him speak. We have a couple weeks that we need to fill. We've got somebody. We have got. Sorry, I already lost the dates. What was the 2 dates?
27th and the 3rd.
27th and the 3rd. We have a couple of holes we need to fill in our schedule, but then we've got somebody after that, and then we have more we need to fill. So continue to have people come up to 1millioncups.com/Fort Wayne and apply. Tell all your friends. Invite more people to come in here now that we're live. You know, in HD on the internet. Tell them to come in here and come to our event. In the meantime, you can go to Kauffman's site at entrepreneurship.org, read all the stuff. Who here has actually done that? I tell you every single week to go to entrepreneurship.org, and no one has gone. Seriously, today, when you get back to your desk, go to entrepreneurship.org, the Founders School stuff, and go look at it. Believe it or not, there is a ton of stuff up there, a ton of really good stuff. And probably different things that will fit your particular niche. So go check it out and help support our sponsor for this. And that is it. Have a good Wednesday. Have a good week.
I have one more thing. I'm just going to make an assumption because I can hear rock camp going on back here. So I'm assuming that rock camp is coming into here right away. Do we think?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't
So
think there's one this
let's
week.
do our networking in the hallway.
Yeah.
Today.
Let's just make that our thing. Why don't we just all move out there after every one of these?
Cafe.
Yeah, go to the cafe.
Go to the cafe.
Yep. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
There's some seating over there.